Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm proud to present Nick Curto in Disclosure Network, New York. Greetings and welcome, Nick. How are you?
Thank you, Hercules. Very, very good. It's been a very exciting time, and I think this year is going to be an amazing time of disclosure. Other friends in this field also have felt that this is going to be a pivotal year, so lots to look forward to.
I hope so with that as well. And as always, you're a phenomenal guest, so I'll be here in case you need me, and I'm looking forward to enjoying your show.
Thank you, sir. So I'm Nick Curto, the host of Disclosure Network, which is a an organization I formed with another person 28 years ago here in Manhattan, and the it's been amazing. We've had one or two meetings a month around each year, and that's been going on for 28 years. We've had amazing people who have been spoken to us, who people who've written incredible books, people who have photographed UFOs and other things in the sky that were totally amazing, and they show them when we do meetings. We're resuming face-to-face meetings in another month or so. Here in New York City, we've had quite a hard winter with a lot of snow and really cold weather, so we'll be returning to face-to-face meetings in a month or so. Looking very much forward to that. And other things to know is that on May 2nd, which is a Saturday, we're going to have a one-day all day and all night conference with major speakers, and I'm going to have rooms with meetings of people who are in attendance, speaking about the issues of disclosure on its many, many fronts. And we're going to be announcing that next month. Again, it's going to be the 2nd of May, which is a Saturday. And on Sunday, we're going to have some demonstrations about disclosure in various places in Manhattan. And that's another part of this weekend. So we're very excited about it. We're planning it right now. Okay, for tonight, I am so excited to have a dear friend and a very unique person on many levels who has a practice that we want to talk about that's incredibly exciting. And she's helped many, many people. Linda Ipanema, welcome.
Hello there, Nick.
Great to see you. You look great. You do.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
how did you get into the field that you're now in? What was the earliest signs that there was something going on that you needed to pursue?
I was actually born with this and did not know it. And a lot of things came to me as I was growing up, and I just didn't know how to explain it or who to go to or what to ask, what to say. It was in kind of like visions, voices, seeing things, getting messages. And I'm talking about, 45 years of it. And
Wow, that's
I
quite.
just didn't know where, I spoke to my mother about it. Of course, she didn't understand what it was. And today, I'm happy to live in today's times, actually, because I met a lot of people that are sort of understanding what I went through and went through it themselves. We just never met at an earlier stage. So the last 15 years is when I really found myself. But I went through hell until I just hung in there saying, I'm like this for a reason. I don't know what reason it is, but I just hung in there. And then it all came to me at one shot through a sickness. I was sick. And when I came out of that sickness, I became who I am now, the healer, the I'm interventionist going into the body and seeing organs, um, dietary situations, just hitting the nail on the head for a lot of people with a lot of disorders, mental, emotional, spiritual.
On my program, one of the questions, key questions I ask at the beginning, is if your mother, father, grandparents on both sides, or aunts, uncles, or anybody in the family ever talked about anything either paranormal or that they had their own experiences. Has any of your family on both sides ever shared any of that or not at all?
Well, when I was very young, I thought that my father's mother came out with a couple of things here and there, which I didn't understand, but I listened and I remembered for some reason. She came out with a couple of things here and there. Oh, and she did something really, my mother said strange, but I don't think it's strange now. If you had a very, very bad headache, she used to get two knives and cross them and put them on your forehead. So there you
Really?
go. There was some sort of a belief in something at that point so many years back.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before. That's quite something.
And my mother used to say to me, her whatever she did worked with the knives. If you had a very bad headache, she put these knives, crossed them, said what she had to say, and that was the end of the headache.
You know,
That's the only thing I remember, really.
okay. Sometimes you remember something even though you were very, very young, something that your mother or father or someone said to you. And there's one thing that kind of came up in my memory that I do remember. My mother said something, and she said it with some concern, and it came out of absolutely nowhere, and it was never followed up with anything. But what she had said at one point, she said, Nick, never, never fool around in any way with a Ouija board. She said, just avoid that. Never go near it. Never play that kind of game. Promise me. And she said that with concern. And this was out of the clear blue sky. I didn't even really know what a Ouija board was at the time. But I said, Mom, of course, thank you for warning me. And you have my word. I will never, ever fool around with something like that. But isn't that interesting that of course, I'm wondering what in her life happened where she was around something like that. I mean, it sounds to me as though there was a very personal experience that turned very
Mhm.
negative. I'm just assuming that, but yeah.
Well, with Ouija boards, I remember the first time I went on a Ouija board, the surrounding people, because I always had my gift, you see, and always had what I'm doing. It didn't just materialize or come forward within me to go out and do that. I was very young at the time too. But I think I was in my early 20s or mid 20s that a Ouija board was put in front of me and there were a lot of people around. And all of a sudden, it started moving like crazy and they stepped back because they never saw anything so fast like that. And I
Oh,
didn't understand it. I just thought like, people put their hands there and it just moves around and they thought it was extraordinary that this happened so quickly. So you see, I always had what I had. I just didn't understand what it was or where I had to do what I'm doing now, more or less. But when I was very, very young, I had this intervention, I'll call it. When I was young, I used to go up and down on my father and mother's mattress, and I used to then collapse, and I used to be surrounded with all this red and all this spinning, and it was like flying saucer kind of thing. And I think at that point, it had to do with alien contact because uh, I used to see things and hear things, and I used to scream on the top of my lungs, and nobody understood what it was. But I think I was in some sort of a whirlpool that I was contacted and drawn into, and then put back into place. That kind of feeling I had it when I was very young, but I could only explain it now after so many years, uh, that I'm so familiar with mostly all aspects of spiritual life on planets and our life as well, reaching out to tell you this because my mother took me to doctor after doctor. A couple of the doctors, just one in particular, said, put red pajamas on her. I don't know how that would fix anything, but it just kind of wore out into another stage of life for me where I started to get more contact, not understanding it. So, it went on and on.
interesting. Very, very interesting. Some people I'm going to use the word intuition. And that can cover a wide variety of things and issues, but some people seem to have intuitions about things more so than others. And some are amazingly gifted I will say, knowing things that they probably have no other way of knowing, but somehow they do. And that can go into many areas, including warnings. Somehow warning, like, I just have this feeling about going on this trip, so drive carefully, things like that. I've heard people in my family say too, um, I'm just getting a bad feeling about that. Maybe we should not do that or not go there. And I'm thinking, that is so interesting. Where's that coming from? And one other thing I wanted to share with you and our audience is that my mother's family is from the O'Shea clan in Tipperary, Ireland. And I took her there and my dad many moons ago, and we visited her homeland, Tipperary, where her ancestors were from. And there's a place there called the Rock of Cashel. And in this very level field that goes on for a long time, all of a sudden there are these huge rocks. And then up on the rocks, there is an old monastery and church. It looks like something from a movie. It's long since past its prime. It's abandoned, but it's quite something to see. And our guide there in Ireland said, if you like, we can climb up the rocks and take a look in the building. And we said, okay, let's do that. We'll just be very careful. And on the way up, my mother turns to me and there's a moment of silence. And then she says, Nick, are you feeling anything? Anything particular? And I said, what is that? Yeah, what is that? There's something about it's not electricity, but there's something about being here. Isn't that interesting? And that was the last thing said about that feeling, but it was genuine that she wanted to check with me, and the answer was, yeah, there's something going on. So
That's
anyway, I want
because
to share.
both of you were there at one time in another life, and
Isn't
you
that
shared many lives with your mother. You were very close with your mother. So
very
you,
much so?
yeah, very much so. I know. So she was your mother in a life or two, and plus you met her on other occasion where she was something else and you were somebody else as well in other lives. So you went through a series of lifetimes with your mother. And so you to feel and her to feel something simultaneously at one time would be would, I could accept that.
That's such a fascinating area unto itself. I mean, it really is.
There's
That's
so many areas. It's so interesting. I
oh,
mean, there's so we could be talking for like 10 hours. I mean, I talk ongoing sometimes with lectures and things. I go way past the time when it should be over, because we're very much into it, the crowd that I'm with.
well, that's why I love talking to you because you have a lot to say and some very genuine feelings, and I really enjoy listening to your point of view. Let's talk a little bit about using your abilities to go into medicine and people that need answers. If you could go into that a little bit more.
Well, sometimes I get all different cases that come to me. I don't really advertise. People hear about me word of mouth because I have always reached success with them on some level. Um, for instance, if they have they come to me with a disease, I don't have to like prepare too much because at this point right now, I could just, as I'm talking to them with the first couple of sentences, go into their body and then feel what they're feeling and that. But I do all my work in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the witching hour, okay? And I do all my work then, and that's when I really get down to the nitty gritty of these cases when I go in the body. And for instance, if there's some kind of a disability with an organ or two or something that they explain to me, I go in the body deeply then, and I can see what it is exactly that needs to be done in the direct and also the direction in which they could go, because a lot of people get scared and they get startled when they hear things are wrong with their organs or they have a disease. They don't know who to believe, what to do, and I'm not putting down the medical profession. It's just that the medical profession sometimes is confused too with patients. They don't know which cure. For instance, my friend, I'll just tell you, she kept getting a disease. I forget what it was now, but she had to choose an experimental treatment out of four treatments. And out of that, she asked me which treatment, and I said none of them. But she went ahead and she chose a treatment, and that's what killed her. She didn't know which way to go. So, cut to the chase, they come to me and I go in their body and then I suggest what it is that they need to do. Now, we get people that are believers, like you and I and others. We get people that are not really believers, but they come to me anyway to say, okay, let me see what you can do, more or less. The
Hmm.
believers are the ones that come through. They open their heart chakra, they open their whole divinity here to me. I handle that with care and I go in there and I do what I have to do. And my suggestions to them, if they do what I do, it works and it's done. It's a done deal. It's gone, whatever it might be. But the ones who are sidetracked for some reason, they listen to me and they continue to do. Here's an example. I was working with a cancer patient, a woman, and she heard about me through a friend that I was very successful with knocking out gallstones. She had gallstones, and I got rid of that. And her friend told her about me, and I was working with her, very sweet woman, but she was so stuck with doctors of cancer and all the links of cancer and cancer clubs and friends that had cancer. And there was a whole thing that went on constantly every single day with her. And I told her, her name was Denise. I said, Denise, if you if you kind of back off from a lot of this, you'll start to see a different direction, a different relief. Change your clothes, go out, get away from the computer, lessen your doctor appointments, because that is a big deal. When you change your mindset, your mind is ruling the body. If you change your mindset, that is a lot of the healing. And that's what I do a lot of times. I change the mindset of their thinking. If you walk around, for instance, with anger all the time, you're going to wind up dead sooner than you think because you can't walk around with anger. The organs are attacked by anger, pancreatic cancer, um, all sorts of different diseases that might come into the body. Or you just might have an emotional disturbance that you can't quite get rid of, and it's gnawing at you so badly, it could get to you saying, oh, I don't even want to be here anymore, I want to commit suicide. It could be something like that. So there's a lot of directions that people come to me, and there's a lot of directions I can go in depending on what the case may be. And very naturally, I step in there because I have the most wonderful guides, angels, and spirits that assist me on every level with everything and every answer and every which way. For instance, when you said, oh, you get that feeling you might not, you shouldn't go on this highway, or you shouldn't maybe get in the car today, maybe you should lay low, something like that you said before. You are being in communication with a guide. We all have guides. It's just that, you have to be very open and very much in the dimension and frequency to understand what they're saying to you. If you could open up to that and meditate every day, say certain affirmations, you will start to draw this type of help to you.
I totally understand what you're saying. I don't totally agree with that. And I've seen people who are kind of got negative feelings, negative energy around them, and they say things like, I never win. I always don't get the job I want. nothing works for me, and they're creating a world of negativity around them, just like you're talking about, and it works that way. Bad things.
They're saying negative affirmations to themselves. They should be saying, I'm worth it. I'm going to get the job. I'm everything that one would want. I have an abundance of talent. I have abundance of direction to help the world, peace on earth. They should be totally turning that around because you could make up your own affirmations. And then there's Louise Hayes, who was magnificent, that formed all these affirmations. You go to them, they help a great deal, regardless of what it is, physical, your teeth, your eyes, your cataracts, your whatever, that really assists you and helps you.
Some people who are very religious oriented will pray
Mm-hmm.
for good things, and that's a kind of another way of doing that, of saying, please, Jesus, I really need your help here. I'm facing a terrible thing, and I don't know what to do. Could you help me? Could you guide me? I'll be saying some prayers to you. And again, through religion, they are doing that same thing that you're talking about, is doing affirmations, doing positive things, asking for help, and surrounding themselves with love and uh, and good feelings. And I totally believe that that does make a difference. Oh,
Well, it
absolutely.
does make a difference, but here's a little trick that I've learned in my life living on the earth and being who I am now. You can say the prayers, you can reach out, you can have your heart chakra open, you can do all what you can do. Then you let go, let God. That's the saying. Let go, let God. Because you can say every night, every night, every night, and then you have people, why didn't this happen already? I had an uncle like that. He said, prayers don't work. Every night, he said the same thing. I mean, he just didn't let go, let God. You have to let go, let God. When you're at your end and you say your prayers and you can't go any further and you through your heart, the divinity is open and you did it, then you have to let go, let God. And you have to trust that. The word trust is a big deal, and acceptance. I have a very good friend. She's a darling friend, and she taught me one word that meant a lot, and I share it with a lot of clients: acceptance. You do what you do, you accept it, you trust it, you let go, you let God.
Um, it's amazing how much you can create your own world, and also affect other people around you. And that can be in a negative or very positive way. And people have to understand that there is a lot that's out there, and you have to embrace what you feel will be helpful to you and others. And that's just part of who you are. But there are negative people. In fact, believe it or not, I'm sure you will understand this. I can walk around New York City, and sometimes someone will come towards me. I don't know this person. They could be a man or woman, a child, or whatever. And I'm getting vibes from them. As they get closer, they become more stronger. And some of them could be either, this is a very caring, good person, something like that, or otherwise, look out. This is a person that is on the edge, and there's some very evil thoughts going on, and you can almost touch it. And I've had that experience many times, and I have to I have to acknowledge that in my own head, that, okay, listen to what you're feeling, and go with that.
Well, I have to choose myself where I go and what I do because the empath that I am, and I'm a very, very strong empath, I pick up a lot and I pick it up without even being there. I can just think it. So if I know that it's just going to disturb me or cut into my aura, I just have to back off and not go. I'm not as active as I used to be with people anymore, going out there in the world. I do all my worldly things mostly here because I don't have to go out in the world to do it. I realized a long time ago, I just reach out because of who I am and I can help people because people don't come here. when I heal them and I work with them, I do it all remotely, and getting to remotely, as you and I have talked about this case with Nancy Guthrie as well. Sometimes I peek into these cases, and I certainly have a lot to say because I have very strong guides and angels and spirits that guide me into remote seeing and remote vision, as such. But there's a lot of these cases I'm contacted, not only you, other people ask me things too about different things. And remotely, I see things. That's why I have to pick and choose who I'm with. Or you can be with the world, but make sure that you surround yourself with the white light, shield yourself in the front and in the back, and your whole being with the white light before you step out, excuse me, to be with people that are somewhat not accepting different energies or have a lot to say, or, they're indifferent about worldly things, because that all bounces off of you. If you're an empath, you're going to catch all that and you're going to come home sick. A lot of times I was with people and I didn't understand. I came home, I said, "Oh, I'm so sick." And then I realized I'm with the same people, I'm still getting sick. And I started to then understand I'm picking up their energy, bringing it home. And it takes about a day or so for this type of thing to, leave me. And that's when I started to understand more about being with, people and being alert that I'm picking up their energies, aware.
I've talked to some people on this subject, and one of the things that came up that I introduced was the fact that the government, for many, many years, has a whole department. It's not a broadcast, it's not advertised, but it's people who have remote viewing.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they can concentrate on an area or a person. It could be very far away. It could be across the planet, somewhere very
Mm-hmm.
distant, and they can come up with some data that a lot of times has proven to be absolutely true. That nobody, no way could know this, and yet these mediums can give answers to some of the questions the government would say we really need to know this for some good security reasons, and they can come up and say, I do have an answer. And a lot of people are very surprised that the government has funding for this kind of activity. But the thing is, if it wasn't working, they would have stopped it 40 or 50 years ago. And they still have it, which means that they're getting benefits from that.
Well, many years ago, even when I think it was when I first met you, I go back that about that time. I don't know how long we know each other, 10 years, 12 years. But Eddie, little Eddie, we had our friend here, Eddie, that we knew, and he took me to your meeting, of course. I went to a couple of remote vision, gatherings, classes, or what have you. I was just groping and going here and there, just like, because I was just trying to find out things. I was just opening up more and more and more and developing more and more and more, that kind of thing. And I went. And he gives a description of something, the teacher or the man in charge, and I was surprised. I came out with everything exact. And the whole class was surprised because I walked in, nobody knew me, this girl. I'm sitting there, and everybody is describing what it was that they saw or put together. And I described it from colors to inches to heights to people, and and they were all astonished. And then I went back and I did something similar, and then I never went anymore because I said, "Gee, I just didn't know I was that deep with details, but I don't have to go there." And now here I am. People give me these scenarios or what have you, or ask me questions, and I just dive into it, and I can see a lot. And it's even with a physical thing. I just went. My friend said something about she wasn't feeling good and all that, and I told her what to do. It was a certain type of tea that I told her to get, and she kind of listened to me and she remembered it, but then it was validated by a dentist. A dentist said to her, I want you to get this certain type of tea. And I already had told her that. So you see, I see these things ahead of time, or I match it up with the person's sickness, what it is that they have to do. Some of these cancers and some of these sicknesses people have, they don't have to, I must say, to the public, I mean, they don't have to take chemotherapy or radiation. There's other ways of working this out of your body. Well, a third of it is mental. About more than a third is mental. You have to stop and think where your life is, what you're attached to, what's going on. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you unhappy? Are you this, and that? And then you have to acknowledge each one of those things. And then you have to turn around at one point and say, you know what? You might need a little help with this answer too. I can fix this. I don't have to be in this situation. Like when you get up in the morning and say, oh, another day, I'm so bored, I'm depressed, and this, I don't know which way to go, I don't know what to do. You can stop that. You can say, no, I'm going to stop that way of thinking. I'm going to rise above that. Let go, let God. Whatever comes to me now is going to be in the peaceful manner which I was born with this peace. The guardian angel was there, and we all have that peace within us. It's just a matter of holding on to it or really acknowledging it, that it's within us.
It's absolutely true, and your mind, your spirit, who you are contributes so much, and you can get a lot of answers just by going deep, like you're saying. And you can also create healing. I believe people can do that to some degree, and they can also make things worse just by the negativity that they can project in their bodies or around them. And I've seen examples of that. And I think it's so interesting too, of this introducing the idea of remote viewing from the government. And you can also do this without having a person actually coming to your home or even being in your same city. It's wherever they happen to be, and you can do a mind projection and come up with some interesting items from what you're seeing and feeling through your own mind, through your own brain. I think it's incredible.
Well, we all, before we came here, came from someplace else. Most of the people that I have been in contact with now the last years have come from other planets, and and the good thing is they realize this and they answer their own questions because there's a lot of people have a lot of problem adjusting to Earth, the air, the food, the people. Some people have been here numerous amount of times or more. There's some people that are here for the first time. The first timers or somewhat have a harder time to adjust. I mean, planets have a certain way of assimilation and breathing. I mean, the air level there is different. I mean, people say, "Oh, I have COPD." What they really have is not adjusting to this air. This air is polluted for their system, and they remember having somewhat the organs that they used to have. When you live on alien, when you're an alien, you live on other planets, you don't have as many organs. We are bombarded with all kinds of organs, liver, spleen, pancreas, it goes on and on. When you're on other planets, you don't have all those organs. You just have the ones that are necessary. So the body has much less havoc, much less. And they're dealing mostly with spirituality and they work on a peace level. And as far as food, it's so much different. Some of them, they just inhale and that's their food. Some of them, just like the Palladians, they eat greens and all the time, greenery. Every time I go to Palladians, I see them having greenery and everything is green. And that's how they sunlight. And they also look so beautiful. They're shapely, they're healthy, their skin is clear, everything is so beautiful about them, not only physically within. So it's very hard for people when they come here for the first, second, and third time to adjust to Earth, so to speak. It sounds strange, but and this sort of meeting, you would understand this. That's why I love to go around giving lectures because people are desperately in need of this type of talk because when they leave, they feel so much more grounded and they don't even know what grounding is. I teach them grounding. I teach them protection. I teach them meditation. All the things that have helped me, I pass on to them. And sometimes I change it depending on the individual because not everybody who comes here is coming from a different place, more or less. But this is like a stomping ground for you to meet the people that you have lived with in other lives as well, you know? When you see somebody and you look in their eyes and you know that you're the soulmate of that person and vice versa, you know that you have lived a life before and before and before that. You could have been lovers. I just recently had a situation that I met somebody. As soon as I looked at him, and he looked at me. We knew each other. Now he's not a spiritual person, this guy, and he's a young fella too. But we knew that we had other lives together, and we had that feeling. And so, as you continue to meditate, as you can continue to slow up your life, people who slow up their lives sometimes are bored. Boredom is very good. It slows you up. It allows you to think. It allows you to center yourself.
It's a fascinating subject. And another example of what you're talking about that comes to my mind is that some people have ideas that don't seem to come directly from their life here on this planet. They seem to be reflecting from another experience on another area. It might be another planet, another time, something like that. And there's a lot of examples of that. I've had people say, I don't know why I'm so afraid of, and then they'll say a particular thing. It could be a snake. It could be, I have this feeling of when I see the color turquoise. It connects me somehow with something wonderful in my past, and I can't put my finger on it, but it's very real. Some people have applied that to other things that they pick up in their senses, and they say, I don't know how I happen to be like that, but it's so strong. And I've heard people say, I feel as though I've been, when I went to Europe, I felt very strongly that I'd been there before, a particular place. And it seemed like a certain street or a certain building, uh, it was vibrating to me like I've been there before. I think that's a fascinating subject.
Well, I had to work in Lithuania once, and I was a little reluctant in going, but we were going to put on some shows. It was a long time ago, and I did go. The funny thing is, before I went, I had these dreams, and I saw Lithuania before me in the dream, the beautiful churches, the streets. I saw what I saw at that time. When I got to Lithuania the second day, left the hotel, I walked down the same street I dreamt, the same church. I said, I saw this before. I have either been here or I saw this. This was a long time ago, when I wasn't really moving around with dimensions and I was always moving around. I just didn't understand it. But now I have, of course, a good hold of what I do. I mean, I was afraid for many years too, because there was a lot of things that were happening to me and I thought they were always physical, but they weren't. It was frequency changes, dimension changes. When you're a person like myself, and there's many out there that we don't know them. They're all spread out throughout the world, let's say. Um, if you get to know this type of work and you get to know who's working with you as far as spirits, angels, guides, what have you, even deceased people that leave, that you loved and knew, and they give a helping hand sometimes. Then you get used to the poking of what they do, poking of your body. A lot of times I work with people and I heal them and I'm working on them. And the next 2 days I don't feel too well because I might be going to the bathroom constantly, or I'm itching all over, or I'm very, very exhausted because the case I worked on was a very strong case. Things of that sort. But years ago, I used to be afraid. I used to call friends that understood some of this stuff, but now I don't. I just let it be because I have the most magnificent guides that step in and they handle me. They tell me in a day or two, you will be absolutely perfect. And they say things to me right on the money, like in a day you'll be fine, or this will wear off in 24 hours, or whatever they say. And it always works. So I trust in what I do in my surroundings, my contacts.
I think one of the things on a personal level that I wanted to tell you about, I don't know if I've told you this before, but up until my, I would say mid 30s or so, maybe even more than that, I did not have an understanding, a thought about something that happened to me when I was probably about 11 or 12 years old. It just never would occur to me. It never came up. It was not in my mind at all. Here's the thing, I don't know what triggered it. I have a suspicion that a sound, a scent, something happened that all of a sudden it triggered a, amazing memory, an amazing event that happened to me that was quite traumatic. And up until that point, it was like it was not in my mind, it was not in my conscious at all, at all. And whatever it triggered it, all of a sudden, wham! It swept into my being, and oh my God, it was incredible. And I'm thinking, I remember that. I remember this. I remember that detail of it. And it's just so interesting that it literally came all at once. And it was very, very uh, detailed of what it was. And it
But
really,
it would happen only momentarily, like a deja vu. It hit you, and you were there, and you remember it, and what have you. You felt comfortable, but it was only for that minute second, and then it left you because you were there. You were at that spot, and you just kind of like relived it. It's like
I'm,
a
I'm,
deja vu.
right. I'm wondering also because it was such a hurtful event that happened to me and my parents and my sister all at once, that it was such a hurtful thing that possibly I didn't want to remember it. But I also have a feeling that there were forces that tried to erase it. I'm going to go that far and say
Forces?
it was like erase it, but something triggered and it swept back in me,
Oh, I see. By
and
you talking to me now, I'm seeing like warrior life, a warrior type of age, the 1600s or something. It's funny. You could have been stomped on by horses or something, but I'm just sort of, throwing that your way. If I went into it more, then, I would probably pinpoint more of it. But a lot of these things, we get up in the morning, we say we're going to have a good day, but then there's so much that hits us here, there, and everywhere. And all this reflects from other lives. The other lives that we lived, we took a lot with us here and also we're trying to deal with this life as well. So it's a lot of mishmash. That's why you need to rise above it. Meditation helps a great deal, centering yourself, keeping away from certain individuals or certain things that you know ahead of time. Now, you are experienced in so many fields, you really are. And people look up to you because you are kind of the center of attraction with a lot of things. You're very open with your divinity, and you're all what you know. You're a giver, you're not a taker. So therefore, these people, you might attract here and there somebody that comes in. This coming into you, this person you might have known from somewhere, somehow, not this life, others. This is what would give you the opener to think on that, what you just told me, like a little bit of a fright, bringing the past, not this past in this life, the past. Don't forget, we died in those other lives. How we died was probably very frightening. Maybe we got stomped on by horses. We were warriors. Maybe we got killed. Maybe we drowned. Maybe we were in car crashes, or not even when they had cars. We take that with us, and there's only one way to solve that within yourself. Meditate and give it up. Let go, let God. There's a way of erasing it and moving forward. If you hold on to your lifetimes and all the things that have transpired within those lifetimes, you're bringing a very much of a heaviness here, and it's very hard to then move ahead if you don't somehow come to some sort of peace with that. A lot of people come here with, the diseases too from other lives. There's only one way to work this out. You have to settle what is going on with that and then move away from it and go forward. Change the way you dress, change the people you see, do another thing, you know, do the thing that you love to do the most. Free yourself from all the agonies, the responsibilities, the worrying. You know what ties people up mostly in this lifetime? Time.
Oh,
They have to be here at 12 o'clock. They have to see their dentist at 2 o'clock. They have to be another place at 4 o'clock. They're rushing around in a city that is holding them back in traffic and buses and trains. What we have to stick to our cell phones and talk to people at a certain time. All this ties us up. We have to start acknowledging this. With myself, I understand that our existence is the flow. It's the flow of existence. People call it time. On earth, it's called time. The flow of existence is what really is making us continue. If you can hook into the flow and then go with that, you won't even think twice about the agonies that people are holding on to. They're holding on though, and what's more so, their organs are holding on to it. And that's why they are manifesting all these disturbances, which is cancer and all kinds of ulcers and bleeding this and bleeding that, and all kinds of things that develop in the human body. And as I said, we have an abundance of organs that complicates the issue because if a woman gets, or a man gets, or what have you, colon cancer, that colon is right next to the uterus or right next to the prostate, and that cancer spreads because everything is so complicated in there. We really didn't need all these organs. That's why when they say you don't need your gallbladder, you don't need your appendix, you don't need your spleen, if you let go of those and the doctor takes them out, you still can go on living normally. I mean, you might take a pill, or even the thyroid that, if you have something with and they take it out, all right, they say take the pill. But there's a lot of organs that we just don't need. And that's just an example. There's a lot of that comes in from other lives, other people that we just don't need too. If you can learn just to go with the flow of life and don't think about time. I mean, we have to think about time. That's the kind, especially in Manhattan, it's very hectic. I lived there for many, many, many years. It was much more than where I'm living now, out here by the water on Brighton Beach. But I can tell you that there's a way of doing it. You just got to find that way. And by talking to people like myself, going to meetings and people who have this kind of ability to transfer what they have to other people's minds. My whole my whole existence is getting to a person's mind more than their body. If I can get to their mind, then they can supervise their own mind. When they supervise their own mind with the flow of life, holding on to their peace with meditation, and then going with a lot of things that I said right now, they will be superior beings to themselves. With that superiority, then they will, then they will share that. Sharing with others in this world is the main thing. That's why all these wars and people dying are just, they don't learn. They just keep having wars and they keep dying and coming back, you know?
You're giving excellent advice, Linda, and I certainly thank you for all of that. I'd like to ask you now if someone would like to contact you, uh, is there a way that they can do that? Could you
They could
provide?
do it through you, or just, I can give you my number. I would usually just work like that, or my email. I usually just work like that. People, they even contact me, because I'm a singer, I'm an entertainer, so that's the way I'm contacted as well.
Okay, what I'll do first is I'll give our audience my email, and if they want to contact you, I will forward that to you. How's that?
That's wonderful.
Okay, here we go. To get Linda or me, my email address is NickNY1, one, and it's the numeral one, not ONE, but the numeral one at gmail.com. Going to repeat it. NickNY1 at gmail.com. We certainly welcome any questions or comments you have. Always. Absolutely. Linda, you are an amazing person. I have the highest regard for you in your professional work as well as you're one of my dearest friends. And thank you so much for coming on the program. You've really answered some amazing questions and you've given some advice that I think anybody can benefit from. And all of that is all to the good. So just thank you so much.
You know, I found I found a long time ago now what it is I need to do here. And so I'm just doing it.
You are doing
Yeah.
it. And please continue on. Continue on. Party on, as they say.
Party on.
Yep. So anyhow, this is Nick Curto for Disclosure Network New York. If you'd like more information about becoming a member, we have members all over, not just in New York or the tri-state area, but we have members everywhere on this planet. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can again email me and ask for that information. I'll be happy to send that to you also. It's a great organization. I'm very, very proud of it, and it's a bright light in my life, and I'm sure my members also. So there you have it, and I'll turn it back over to you, Hercules.
Thank you very much for an awesome, exciting, and informative show to both of you. I look forward to your continuing your conversation in the not so distant future, I hope. I wish you joyous journeys, amazing adventures, and along with all those at home, success in all your ventures.
Much love to everyone, everywhere, and I do mean that everywhere. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.